In the AutoZone studios, AutoZone. Get in the zone. Cordell Stewart letting another one go by. After allegations that he bet on baseball, made a deal with then-Commissioner Bart Giamatti. The upshot of that deal was that Rose wound up on the ineligible list in terms of the Hall of Fame, and it has been 10 years since his class went into the Hall of Fame, and he is not in. Well, Pete is taking his case to the public. A multi-million-dollar advertising campaign sponsored by the Pony Shoe Company, a European athletic apparel and footwear company, will begin in July. The slogan for the campaign will be, "Why not?" And I'm sure that has to do with the Hall of Fame. Joining us now is David Schultz from Pony to talk about Pete Rose and their campaign to sell shoes,
Schulte
athletic apparel.
Schultz?
I don't know. Let's ask him. Is it Schulte or Schultz?
Schulte.
Schulte. Okay.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Good, David. David, this is pretty. Well, you're meddling. You're meddling here just a little bit. I think that's what people would say.
Not me.
Right.
I love it.
I think you know what you're doing. You're getting attention. Obviously you get some attention from us, but you get a lot more when you begin doing this. But you are kind of stepping over the line when it comes to baseball and their ability to discipline people and trying to draw public opinion to Pete. What is your feeling about that, and how do you plan to go about it?
Well, to the first part, I mean, you know, we haven't really looked at offending anybody at Major League Baseball. I mean, our whole thing with this brand is supporting the underdog and being a little bit more anti-establishment. I mean, I understand Nike and Reebok and those companies having to, kowtow a little bit to the Major League sports because of their sponsorships, etc. Our point of view is all we read about is how, Bud Selig's been, accused of this thing or that thing, and then at the end of the day, we feel like him trying to keep Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame, or at least keep from having to have a meeting with Pete Rose, is just completely being in a glass house, and we're in our mid-30s, and we grew up with Pete, and I'll tell you, from watching baseball back when I was younger, I haven't watched it as much as I've been older because I've lost a little interest in it, frankly, but to be honest with you, I've never seen a player play with more hustle and more aggressiveness, and he did a lot of the things that I think we should be teaching our kids today, and instead, they've taken this high stance with him, and it's just, I mean, you know that they won't even have a 30-minute meeting with him. He literally is not getting his calls returned.
All right, hold on here, David. You'll talk, and the segment will be over. We won't get to ask you anything. Look, I'm a fan of this campaign. I think it's a great idea. What I think it is it's fan-oriented. It was obvious to anybody in marketing, certainly, when they had the All-Star game down in, I guess it was Atlanta, and they had the 50 whatever greatest play, and Pete Rose came out, the infamous Jim Gray interview where he flushed his credentials down the toilet by getting in Pete's face. Pete Rose got the biggest ovation of anybody that stepped forward, and Pete was emotional about it. And the fans are what Cooperstown is all about. The fans are what baseball is all about. And Bud Selig and his rich, greedy owner buddies seem to think it's about them. And what you're saying is it's not about them, it's the fans. The fans want Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, and I think you're on the right track.
I think that they absolutely want him in the Hall of Fame. I think that baseball's got so many other problems right now. And, I mean, if tomorrow I was named the commissioner of baseball, which I'm 100% sure is not going to happen, the first thing I would do is get this guy at least heard. I mean, it's unbelievable that a guy who runs the worst public relations team in the league, the Milwaukee Brewers, is making decisions about how the league should handle this. I mean, does this guy have any clue about how he could build some hype around the sport again? I mean, to try to get, like, the younger kids involved in this game? I mean,
all right, David, let's talk about the other side of this, too, please. We're talking with David Schulte from Pony Shoes and Clothing, and David's going to send Booms and I thousands of dollars worth
I used to wear Ponies.
For having this
I used to wear
interview.
the old suede ones, blue ones in high school.
Great. This is Kiley and Booms. Kiley and Booms, Fox Sports Radio. David, this is not about Bud Selig. This is really not about Major League Baseball today. This is about the fact that there was overwhelming evidence that he, to the extraordinary detriment of the game, gambled on baseball.
We haven't seen it.
There's no question that there's proof. Well, the thing's not in court, and Pete Rose certainly would have it in court.
The fans haven't seen it.
Now, hold on a second. Yes, there are. You can go to any website and see the betting slips and the whole thing. So it's really not about Selig. I mean, if you want to put it on Selig and you want to say that he should be in or he should be heard, he was heard.
But
he was heard.
The reason I think the reason I put it on Selig is the following: the deal that Pete cut with the league, the specific deal, which is let's just talk about the facts. The deal he cut and what he signed was that he admitted to betting on Monday Night Football. And when Bart Giamatti cut that deal with him, it was inferred and implied, and is also in the deal that he would, after a year, be eligible to have his case heard and to sit down again. It's now been 15 years later. First of all, the public doesn't even understand that that's what the issue is. I think everyone thinks he admitted to betting on baseball. That was never the issue.
And still doesn't.
No,
yeah,
but
exactly.
there was proof. Let me just correct that. There was some proof that he did bet on baseball, but the deal was he would not admit to it. He would admit to Monday Night Football. So let's not cloud the issue here. What he admitted to and the proof that they had are not the same thing. So go on.
But what he admitted to is what the league is using to keep him out. So let's just at least deal with what they have. I mean, there's two separate things. So that document that he signed, there was a part of that document that said that, again, he would be open for eligibility at a certain given time.
Right, it was supposed to be revisited.
No, he would be reassessed, not that he would be open for eligibility.
Right, that he would be reassessed, which they've never done. No, they've never met with him.
Yeah, we don't want to meet with you. That's reassessment.
No, that's not a reassessment, and that's typical of the upper management of baseball, which is complete garbage. And the other thing is the misinformation that's out there is if you poll 10 people, 9 out of the 10 think the deal was, I'll admit I bet on baseball, and then I won't have to go to jail or this, that, whatever the heck it was, and then the Hall of Fame was out. People think he admitted he bet on baseball. He did not.
And I also
it doesn't matter.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't. They had proof. The fact that they forced him to admit to it or not is immaterial.
Oh.
Had they
How
taken
American.
No, it is American because what the guy did, he made a compromise. Pete gave up his rights.
Is there any hypocrisy to the fact that there's known wife abusers and drug dealers and drug users?
How about this?
I'll tell you where the hypocrisy is a shoe company getting behind the guy for advertising purposes.
The shoe company's going to make a ton of money, and they're right to do it. How about this, Kev? We have written proof that Bud Selig had illegal loans.
Exactly.
I'd be careful with that.
Of baseball, well,
I'd be careful with that. We do not. An article is not written proof.
It's out there.
Well, just be careful when you say that. Yeah.
So if they have the proof of that, what can we do with that then? If you're not going to have a hearing,
if they have proof of what? They don't.
If you have proof that Bud Selig had 3 illegal transactions according to Major League Baseball, according to you, you don't have to have him come in and have a hearing on it.
I don't have proof. What is this, a hypothetical? If I catch Bud Selig robbing a 7-Eleven, should he still be the commissioner of baseball?
You know darn well that they have all of those things about
I don't know anything, and neither do you.
That's true.
And that's not the issue.
At the end of the day, the only thing I could leave you guys with is we sincerely just want to get behind the guy.
Are you going?
What's that?
Are you going? You said you were going to leave us with something.
Oh, I don't know. I'm calling in from a lunch. They told me that you guys wanted to get me on. I'll stay as long as you want. No problem.
Yeah.
Look, I just think the main thing is we wanted to accomplish 2 things with this. One,
sell shoes.
At the end of the day, it's not even all about shoes, to be honest with you. I mean, at the end of the day, Pony, we don't have a $600 million ad budget. We have a very limited amount of money. We're just a bunch of young guys who bought the brand.
Right.
And if we have a little bit of money, we want to spend it on something that's a little bit more intelligent than some mainstream advertising.
It's a great idea, David.
Fabulous idea.
But as long as you call it what it is, it's a great idea.
Well, Pete Rose is a blue-collar guy that fans, which is what matters in sports and matters when you're selling shoes or anything else, the fans feel Pete Rose got jobbed.
You don't know what the fans feel.
I'm
a fan.
I don't. Well, you don't count. You don't count. You had a whole stadium stand up and applaud. And for the
whole stadium?
Right. And for the 2 people like you that sat and don't like Pete Rose, you don't
I happen
count.
to like Pete Rose very much. I know Pete Rose. I've met him. I've worked with him. He's a terrific guy. I love Pete Rose.
Do you think he should be back in the Hall of Fame?
This is what I think, David. This is what I think, David, and I've said this many times. I think Pete Rose, if he wants to be in the Hall of Fame, put it all in the Hall of Fame. On the plaque, Put the mug, put the statistics, put the great baseball, and put the rest of it on there about the betting on baseball and the whole story. You want to be in? Take it all in there, because we're not going to clean out the bad spots. In fact, everybody that's in the Hall of Fame, including Ty Cobb and the rest of these clowns that did all these things, instead of keeping them out, put them in with everything.
So do we do that with every Hall of Fame? Does that mean your buddy Lawrence Taylor, it should say every game he was tackling quarterbacks, he was high on cocaine?
If you can prove it, if it's true, yes.
Yeah, well, that'd be a nice Hall of Fame.
Well, that's exactly the point, isn't it?
That could
Isn't that the point?
That could be your next ad campaign.
You don't want that, do you?
You could have
Kenny Stabler.
Yeah, you could have LT
Yeah, now
on
I
the
know
front.
Kenny. Now, wait a minute. Now, I know Kenny real well. Now, Kenny Stabler as a...
We're bringing him out. We started with Tatum. We've gone to Rose, and we're going to Kenny for fall with the football season.
Kenny, as a football player, should be in the Hall of Fame, but some of the shadows on his reputation have to do with the same thing, do they not?
Well, I mean, they don't have to do it.
Yeah, I know. You work for Pony. Well, I know this story.
Why are we picking and choosing? Why are we picking and choosing people's supposed shadowy past? I'm missing this. You could do that with anybody. Why don't we do that with people Nike's already working with?
No, but the point is, we're picking people that we feel that there was hypocrisy behind the fact that why they're not in the Hall of Fame.
No, I'm talking to my partner when he says, that there's something shadowy with Stabler. Maybe, but why don't we go get Nike and everybody else and see who they got signed already?
Well, look, here's the problem. Don't confuse the issue. The issue is, if I didn't pick Kenny, they pick Kenny. And in my opinion, he's one of the great quarterbacks of all time, and he should be in the Hall of Fame. But I happen to know what the concerns are with Kenny, and if there is proof of the things that they've accused him of, and I'm not going to put him on the radio because I don't have any proof, then he probably shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
When Nike does a commercial, Kev, for Allen Iverson, should they say try his new tennis shoe, and don't forget he breaks chairs over people's heads, and he's a felon?
It was a woman, actually. It was a girl. He threw a chair, and it was a girl.
Well, I mean, you want all the shadowy stuff out there.
You're talking about the Hall of Fame, you're talking about a TV commercial.
An ad campaign.
Well, then why don't you ask David that question?
All right, David. Wouldn't that be fair game then? Since if you're going to have Stabler, which I think is a great idea, and my partner thinks, well, there's some shadowy things with the snake, then
I don't think so. Why don't you ask David about that? David, are there some issues with Kenny?
I think the biggest issue with Kenny is I think he has time with Jeff. I think
We're breaking up. We lost you there, David, for a second.
So lace up your ponies and trot onto a landline, and we'll continue this, David.
All right.
All right. That's not a good. No, we lost him.
All right. All right. That was David Schulte, sort of, from Pony. We'll take calls on this when we go. I'm what?
Your hypocrisy is stunning.
What hypocrisy?
As usual. Well, you want to, yeah. And by the way, I got a buzzer for you. David Schultz at the beginning. It's
we got a belated buzzer.
Belated buzzer.
15 minutes later, we get a buzzer.
And you're still at it coming.
And Artie, what's he got pictures of you, Artie? You throw a buzzer on there. We'll take calls on this. Well, hopefully we'll take a call from David Schulte too. 1-877-996-6369. 1-877-99 on Fox.